Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy and thank you for tuning in. This video was inspired by a trend I've finally encountered in an area of my life that really hits close to home. It really just adds another brick in the wall, to quote Pink Floyd, to an overall problem that is only intensifying all around us. A problem that is even being celebrated by certain circles. Sport and fitness appears to be falling victim more and more to cancerous social justice warrior mentality and philosophy that has been infecting modern society.
Most of you are likely aware of Planet Fitness's notorious no critics policy, which ironically is not granted to bodybuilders or powerlifters who they routinely poke fun at. Or their lunk alarm, which is set off if someone lifts heavy, makes noises while lifting, drops their weights, or performs exercises like the T-bar row, overhead press, or deadlift. You know, God forbid you actually push yourself effectively. Or that they routinely provide free bagels and pizza to their members who have been subsequently caught consuming these foods while working out.
But what was just a running joke limited to Planet Fitness
has now found a home in a newer gym chain like Blink, and has even begun infecting older gym chains like Crunch.
Now, I don't think anyone should be shamed at the gym for being overweight or not lifting at an elite level. First of all, if someone is overweight, then the gym is precisely where they need to be, so good on them. Second, not everyone at the gym is at the same level or has the same goals, and we all had to start somewhere. But that being said, gyms should not be promoting mediocrity. They should be promoting progress and achievement. And that's what fitness is all about. It's about pushing boundaries, about growth, and not just the kind of growth that you can see on the outside. But this pathological avoidance of healthy competition, this pervasive and ever-growing mental and physical weakness that has seemingly become the norm in modern Western society, is now infiltrating the fitness world. A world once built on hard work, competition, success, all of which are mentalities that build champions and warriors. Now, before I go any further, I just want to mention that I'm going to try something new with this video, so please let me know in the comments if you prefer this or my old style of presentation. I'm going to display a number on screen which corresponds to whatever research paper or article that I am referencing at a given moment, instead of displaying an often hard to read screen grab of the paper with a voiceover. This way, I save myself editing time, and you can explore the references in detail by heading over to my blog and checking out any given reference for yourself. Just match the on-screen number to the corresponding link. Anyhow, let's get started.
We have all likely observed by now that men today are less manly than they were in times past.
And this isn't just our imagination either, it's a quantifiable fact. Male testosterone has actually been on a steady decline since the 1980s. And according to 2007 research, there has been a documented 1% drop in testosterone levels among men on average per year since 1980s. Thus, men in 2017 have approximately 30% less testosterone on average than they did back in 1987. At this rate, your average guy in 2037 will be half the man that he would have been in 1987, which also means that a greater number of men today have below normal testosterone levels than they did in the 1980s. And some of the side effects of low testosterone include poor sleep patterns, reduced sex drive, sexual dysfunction, infertility, sadness, depression, a poor sense of well-being, decreased strength, and increased fat gain, none of which are good for overall health, quality of life, or longevity. The researchers theorize that rising obesity levels, which are 18.2% greater in 2015 than they were in 1990, as well as exposure to harmful toxins, chemicals, compounds, etc., could be partly to blame. Some of these harmful exposures include, but are not limited to, excitotoxins in our food, such as MSGs and aspartame, mercury, which can be found in fish and whey protein, or more good reason to be vegan, eh? As well as corn syrup and certain dental fillings, conventional pesticides, which may be a valid argument for going organic when it comes to fruits and veggies, medications like statins for cardiovascular disease or SSRIs like Prozac Prozac and Zoloft for depression, bisphenol A and phthalates, which can be found in many things such as food containers, cosmetics, as well as baby food and infant care products. Let those last two sink in, really sink in, as many of us have been exposed to this shit from birth. Just think for a moment, how many of those have you been exposed to throughout your life repeatedly, and worse yet, how many during your developmental years? I guess this brings me to the point of this video and what's inspired me to make it. I'm not going to claim that there is some kind of grand conspiracy by our governments or whoever to chemically emasculate men. I don't have sufficient hard evidence to directly support that sort of malice. But one cannot deny the ever-apparent social war that seems to exist against all things masculine today, at least in Western nations. A war against traits such as independence, responsibility, competitiveness, confidence, and strength. A social war that is certainly part of the problem, along with obesity and exposures to chemicals, poisons, toxins, etc. One example would be pervasive terms like toxic masculinity, which seeks to classify traditional testosterone-fueled masculine traits as harmful, and in essence belittle and shame them as well as the men who exhibit them. And this would be a non-issue if men didn't actually heed this ironically toxic wordplay by complying and conforming to its social pressure. In the process, figuratively handing their balls over on a platter. Some examples of specific masculine traits that are documented to be demonized under the term toxic masculinity are dominance, self-reliance, and competition. And dominance, for instance, is a trait that becomes more pronounced in men with higher levels of endogenous testosterone, while engaging in competition appears to raise testosterone regardless of gender, and winning raises it even further. Thus, these are traits and pursuits of healthy men with healthy hormone values. To fight them is to fight biology and to promote ill health. Removing or just reducing these traits would subsequently create weaker, subordinate, dependent men who lack the confidence to pursue their desires and the fortitude and willingness to boldly take the risks by which to achieve them. Keep in mind, to achieve, to succeed, like with starting a business, for example, risks must be taken. Risks are part of the process. And while risks can lead to failure, they can also lead to awesome reward. Your reward that you would never realize unless you took those risks and tried. And numerous studies have concluded that higher healthy testosterone levels combined with lower cortisol levels are associated with greater willingness to take risks.
Thus, these are not the type of men who have historically built and defended strong nations that provide benefits like freedom, democracy, rule of law, and the various luxuries that we all take for granted today. Nations that people from less fortunate places strive to immigrate to, even illegally, in order to escape the squalor of their own homelands. Yet, nations that fragile, whiny, self-entitled, virtue-signaling sissies who use terms like toxic masculinity leech off of, while at the same time screaming foul and casting bitter stones against.
All the fuss these absolute ponces make, you'd think that they're living in some place like North Korea, not a place like the USA or the UK. These are not the type of men who have the courage and drive necessary to advance mankind. Rather, they willfully rely on others to do all of the above and more for them, and then partake in the fruits of others' labor. These are the type of men typically referred to as beta. They're dependent, they're complacent, they settle, they don't take responsibility, they bend easily, they lack conviction, they lack backbone, and they're easy to control. Certainly not the ideal male population for strong and healthy nations, or those who wish to remain as such.
But as the saying goes, hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. Wash, rinse, and repeat.
Going by current trends, I'd say we're well into phase 4, hard times. And I could continue with more and more examples, but I think that one was sufficient enough to make my point about negative social influence on men today and the subsequent negative consequences that it will have. But despite this mounting opposition, there are ways that you can fight back and reclaim, maintain, or improve your masculinity right now. For instance, ensure that you get enough sleep each night, at least 7 to 8 hours. Drop excess body fat. According to research, a healthy range for men is said to be between 8 and 19%. But to take this a step further than just health, according to a 2012 study published by the Royal Society, which surveyed fertile women, emphasis on fertile there, men with 12% body fat were ranked as the most attractive.
And for those who are curious, this is what 12% body fat looks like. Pictured here, actor Daniel Craig, who portrays James Bond.
Next on the list, work out. Lifting weights optimizes your hormone levels, among a myriad of other health benefits that I've discussed numerous times on this channel. And unfortunately for Planet Fitness, big scary moves like the squat optimize your hormones the most, so do them. Also, control your stress levels. Consume ample dietary fat, or at least 15 to 20% of your daily calories coming from fat, but going as high as 20 to 30% or even 40% according to some papers. Really, it depends on your total daily caloric intake, which depends on your goals, ultimately. Keeping in mind that if you devote a mass majority of calories to fat intake, you will be sacrificing calories from protein and/or carbohydrates. Moving along, keep a positive mood, challenge yourself, and succeed. Research shows that those who go into a challenge with a positive mood enter with higher testosterone levels and are more likely to win. Furthermore, winning subsequently raises testosterone levels even further, which benefits future challenges, which would perpetuate a winning streak. Besides, challenges build character and toughness. Have sex. Sex has been shown to increase testosterone levels, whereas masturbation appears to have no effect on testosterone levels. And of course, avoid all harmful exposures that I had mentioned earlier in this video. And that was not an exhaustive list, but it's a good starting point. Things you can work on today if you haven't already. So take control. We can't afford to let this epidemic of wussiness get any further out of hand. We need to stop it now and repair the problem immediately. The fate of the Western world and the health of its inhabitants literally depend on it. Anyhow, please drop comments below and stir up some discussion. Also, please like and share this video to help it get seen and the message heard. Finally, please subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already, and hit that bell button to keep on top of my regular content updates. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.